Okay, so this will be a very short installment in the Ziggurat of Ur saga, the 17th one. It's kind of like an intermission between the two parts of the fairy tale, and I decided to do this intermission because I got all sorts of like responses to the first part of the fairy tale that not negative ones, but I mean just responses that I mean really infuriated me. Not because of the intention behind them, but because I mean the implication that I mean I'm always like I mean like find new ways in which like the Israelis can be unbelievably cruel and disgusting. I mean, even after all these years, so you always find like deeper and deeper like I mean circles in the hell that the Israelis created for themselves and the rest of the world. And again, I should say that I mean there are good Titans, there are bad Titans, there are Israeli ones, there are I mean those non-Israeli ones. I mean, you know, males and females, but whatever. I mean, all of them deserve like to know basic like stuff. Like, I mean, regarding their nature and the nature of their homeland. And I mean, it's so basic. And I mean, there was such a project of disinformation regarding these issues for more than such a disgusting project that took place for more than 100 years, not only by the Israelis. I mean, but certainly they were I mean the worst and the main culprits here. And amazingly they still do it, and this is so disgusting. I mean, so I mean. I decided that I cannot like I must react like even very shortly, but some things should be said. Amazingly, maybe a week ago I spoke about like the Venusians, and like in an ironic way I've said like how do they think that the babies are created, like in a factory? Like, if it's so where is this factory, and how come the Israelis didn't like find it and took control over it? Because that this kind of factory should be like it's the main objective of their like from if you take into account their predatory and immoral behavior. And of course it was kind of like a rhetorical and cynical like question, and I don't know, someone responded that yeah, where is this factory? So and amazingly like from the responses to the fairy tale, I understand that as amazing as it might sound, some Israelis, at least some Israelis, we need to remember that you cannot like search for like a unified view or position regarding anything in Israel, because of the nature. First, because of the nature of the intelligence services that are so distributed that no one knows what the others is doing, and second, because there's like the old joke of like so there was kind of like a Jew that became like a Robinson Crusoe, like he was like he was washed like a shore, like kind of like an island that with no humans, and so he like had to live like completely alone for couple of years, and after several years like a ship like arrived there by chance and rescued him, and so before they sailed, so so the captain just toured the island. There wasn't much to see, but what do you want to see? What is this Jew, what did he do like in these years like on the island, like Ben Gunn from like Treasure Island? So amazingly, he saw that there are 3 synagogues on the island. So he asked the Jew, so excuse me, why do you need 3 synagogues? You're deserted on this island. So why do you need 3 synagogues? So he said, of course 3 synagogues and 3 are needed. One is Ashkenazi synagogue. The second is Sephardic synagogue. And in the third synagogue, my foot will never stand. Like, I will never set foot like on the third one. And it's actually, I mean, it's very realistic because, I mean, everyone that like grew up like in Orthodox community, wherever, like anywhere in the world, like anywhere in time, like, I mean, it can be like, I mean, thousands of years ago, and like in anywhere on earth. I mean, if he grew up like in Orthodox Jewish community, I mean, he like, I mean, he's familiar with kind of like, I mean, the concept of kind of like a synagogue that, I mean, that is known that like that you shouldn't go there because, like, I mean, politics, like, I mean, internal Jewish politics in the community, like. So, I mean, of course, I mean, you cannot, I mean, with these kind of people, I mean, you cannot like search for a unified, like if one person requires 3 synagogues, I mean, you cannot search for a unified like vision or regarding anything. But what is certain that, I mean, that they lie to the Titans. They still lie in a cruel way and in a very sadistic way that, of course, also is, I mean, aimed to serve their materialistic purposes, or at least dreams, materialistic dreams. And this is so, I mean, annoying. Like, I mean, so actually, you always like find like new curiosities and like. So there are actually people that, I mean, it's kind of like it's still, apparently this is still, it's still like a discourse, like, I mean, kind of like, I mean, presumably a discourse, sicha, like in conversation, like, I mean, inside, like, I mean, the people that are aware of the Titan whereabouts in Israel and presumably also abroad, like, I mean, regarding the question of, like, I mean, how exactly are they created? And this is amazing. Like, I mean, it's because it's cool, and I mean, it's not just stupidity. This is a state oppression that, I mean, is aimed to subjugate people and to, I mean, to exert influence over them, even if they were already released long ago and they live in another state, but still, I mean, to torment them in whatever way that they can. And of course, all of this in order to continue, I mean, the Confederacy. It should be one thing should be stated very, 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 very clearly. And many people in Israel know about it. It's not a secret at all. This is a sefach, like, I mean, the attached document to the ID, to the Israeli ID. So, I mean, you have, like, I mean, it's kind of like the attached. It's issued by the Ministry of Interior. So you have the address, at least, I mean, the one that's updated, like in the like computers, and like all sort of, like, I mean, personal details that are not shown like in the hard, the plastic ID, like identification card. But also you have information regarding your children. So I mean, it should be stated very, very clearly. If it's not known to, if anyone ever doubt, I mean, non-Homo sapiens sentient beings or non-Homo sapiens humans were born by normal childbirth. Yelud Isha, as they say in Hebrew. Yelud Isha, I mean, born, they were gestated in the womb of the woman, and after 9 months, they, I mean, they, of course, with medical support, like in a hospital, in Hadassah Har HaTzofim, in the standard room for, like, I mean, for deliveries, they were delivered into this world. And I mean, many, and I know of 2, because they are my daughters. But maybe there are others as well, and maybe, I mean, there were many, like, along, like, the last century. My guess is that there aren't many because the Israelis, I mean, created all those kind of, like, inhuman restrictions that, I mean, sex is illegal between Titans and that the males must castrate themselves and all this, like, I mean, cruelty. So my guess is there aren't many, and maybe these two are the only one that the only non-Homo sapiens sentient being that were born on Earth. At least, I mean, maybe in the last 1,000 years. I don't know. Maybe, or maybe not. I just don't have information, but for certainly, it's established beyond any doubt that there are at least two that they were born here on Earth in Israel, in Adas Haaretz of Ur. My oldest, I mean, Orin David, ID 337236459, October 26, 2015. And not long after that, less than a year after that, October 3, 2016, the second one, Hila David, were and also delivered in the same hospital, Adas Haaretz of Ur. It was like Rosh Hashanah, I remember it very well. Like the ID is 223587445. And of course I was present in like doing I mean, I accompanied my wife. I mean all like, throughout the procedure. I mean I was there. I mean in the room, like, and yes, I mean I've seen these creatures. I mean emerge from the womb of their mother, and I also participated in like another important episode that is related to these like deliveries, which is the first chapter, which took place 9 months before. And if you have any kind of like, I don't know, question regarding how it's done, so I mean there are many like educational sites in the internet that will give you all the information you need regarding, like, I mean, the sexual life of humans. This is done by vaginal sex. I mean, if you don't know what vaginal sex is, again, there are many sites that I can recommend you that, I mean, that are you know, commercial mostly sites but are very educational, that I mean, and many times they offer like many like free content, like, I mean, you don't need to pay just to watch educational content regarding human sexuality, and this includes all sorts of like acts, but most certainly you can find vaginal intercourse among like the other offerings of all sorts of like educational subjects. And if you don't know how to do it, I mean, it's very easy. I mean, obviously you have internet connection because you watch this video, so it's very easy today more than ever to get all the information you need. Now, yes, there is some question regarding, I mean, how to define them. Simply so, they are titans, okay? But there is some kind of like an irony in it, because they are titans even though neither of their parents is a titan. That's why I use the term titan and not Venusian. It's another reason. I mean, there is kind of logic behind it. If you ask yourself, why do you keep saying titan and not just Venusian? And there are several reasons. First, but I wasn't always sure, and even now I'm not 100%. Like, I mean, there is a possibility of like another like planet which kind of like is invisible. I mean, you know, crazy, like, I mean, science fiction. But yeah, it's Venus, of course. But I mean, just to say that it doesn't matter if it isn't. To say that, I mean, we deal with creatures that are living in Earth now. But of course, we need to understand their origin, because they deserve to know, even if they choose not to do anything with it. But there are more than that, because I use the word titan more liberally to refer to other types of sentient creatures, and I've spoken about it in the past. I can't repeat everything, but it was recorded in this channel. Like, it was a video maybe like half a year ago that, I mean, that I spoke about, like, I mean, also to, I mean, kind of like, I mean, I call it like, I mean, the book of like magical animals, like following Borges, like, I mean, kind of like, I mean, to a zoology of like of titans, like of all sorts of titans, and what do I mean when I say the word titan? And so it's kind of like it's actually more than one like type of like sentient creature, but it doesn't really matter. For certain, they are not Homo sapienses, these two, my daughters, okay? And everybody in Israel knows, I mean, everybody that knows them, I mean, it's not a secret. They were born in hospital, in like a state hospital, Adas Haaretz of Ur. I mean, even if photographs like not photographs of the actual process. I mean, it's rude to do it. No one actually doing it, but photographs from the delivery room, like of myself and my wife. I mean, waiting. And I mean, whatever, it doesn't really matter, like, how you define them. Like, I mean, is it Titans or cherubs, or like, they are not Homo sapienses. They were not created by the process of like a sperm and egg and human egg, because it's not. I mean, it's impossible. And they were also not created in a factory. If anyone is stupid enough to actually even think about it, they were delivered. They came into this world from their mother's womb, like many other like children. Like, I mean, in Jerusalem, in the same day, in the same hospital, and of course all over the world. So how actually it happens is it's actually more complicated much more complicated than actually to explain how Titans are giving birth, because this birth was the father. I'm not a Titan, I'm a cherub, and we are more sophisticated creatures. I mean, not like, I mean, we're not necessarily smarter, but I mean the biology is evidently more sophisticated. Like, what you call the T, we don't have it, but we have something else which is far superior from the technological, I mean, from like technological perspective. And I mean, this is evident by so many, I mean, by now hundreds of experiments in this channel. Because this channel, I mean, great part of it, I mean, most of it, what I do in this channel, besides, I mean, speaking about like my message, religion, and politics, almost all the research material is inquiring into the like nature of the neurons when they are outside my body, like how they can be like put to work, like, I mean, to do all sort of things outside my body. Now it should be said that cherubs are more versatile. I mean, in the so, but for Titans it's very simple how they do it. A man and a woman have vaginal sex. And the man, like, they ejaculates. I mean, what I call the brown neurons, as opposed to my own that I call the yellow ones. Even though it's not the true color, it's just kind of a code name. And the women like have the red neuro, which is what Israeli called the T. It's actually the red neurons. Again, they are not really red; they're just, I mean, color code. And the red neurons and the brown neurons, are mixing together. And together they create an organism, in the broad sense, that eventually becomes a baby inside the womb of its mother, and then it delivers into he get out of it, and I mean, start, to see the world. That's how it's done. It's actually very simple. Because with cherubs, there are many. It's like the biology is more complicated because the yellow neurons are much more versatile. But it should be said that, and it's important, thing to say. That Orin and Hila couldn't. You can say, how do you know that they are your babies, or also like, presumably, theoretically. So there are many answers to this question. But I decided I don't want to get into it because it's not of I don't think it's of importance. But I just introduced key points here. First, their mother is Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens cannot interbreed with Titans, and you know it very well. If it was possible, you would have known it more than 100 years ago. More 5,000 years ago, but certainly, in the Israeli context, like 100 years ago. You know that it's impossible. So with whom exactly did she presumably cheat? With whom? if she would have done it with Homo sapiens, then the baby would have been Homo sapiens, and if she would have done it with Titan, there couldn't nothing would have been created. The only option was to do it with a cherub, and luckily her husband was a cherub. There is no other option that that I know of, and certainly that you know of. That this is first. Second, as opposed to Homo sapienses, and it's probably the same with Titans, even though I admit that I'm not certain about it, 100% certain. I would assume that this is the same with that in this issue Titans are like cherubs, but I'm not 100%. It's difficult to say, because one of the reasons it's so difficult to say is that it's very difficult to get your hand on a male Titan, because they're so rare, and the Israelis kill them and eat them when they hunt them, so it's really difficult to say. But I would assume that in this specific issue, Titans are like cherubs and not like humans, but it's not that important. But let's just compare Titans and compare cherubs and humans. Humans can female humans can get into pregnancy using sperms of humans, but without actual intercourse. This is called in vitro, whatever, and theoretically, this option was known to humans since thousands of years ago, even though probably it wasn't possible to do it until very, very late in history, until a couple of decades ago. But the possibility was not was discussed in ancient texts, and some thought that it's actually possible to do it in ancient times. But certainly, during the last decades, this option materialized, and is now very common because of all sorts of reasons. There are many reasons to do it. Sometimes, it's infertility that requires also treatment that are done, when the sperm and or the egg are outside the body. And sometimes, the father is a donor. It's not even part of the process at all. And sometimes sex cannot be, sex, actual intercourse cannot be done. So all sorts of reasons. So there is the option that to get the sperm, it's not trivial. That's why people speculated about it for thousands of years, but it only materialized during the last couple of decades, because it's not trivial, but it can be done, and it's done. And it's very common that that humans, Homo sapiens, that they take the sperm from the male and the egg from a woman without them having intercourse. It's part of the process, and usually it's after the sperm is freezed, because it needs to be kept until it's when the process is done. And it can be done inside in the the woman body, or completely in laboratory settings, and then to be placed inside the female body for the pregnancy. All of this cannot be done with cherubs. It cannot be done with cherubs. Or more accurately, it's incredibly irresponsible and dangerous to try to do it with cherubs. And anyone that is in his right mind, in his or her right mind, would avoid it at all costs. That's because the cells, what we, the cherubs, have as an alternative to sperm cells that humans have, is the yellow neos, and they can act as sperm cells, and actually they are very robust. They can act as sperm cells both of cherubs and they can act as sperm cells of Titans and of humans, because they are so sophisticated. But there is no such a thing as to freeze it, to hibernate it, using freezer, because when you freeze these